surely shows. Concrete walls embrace the core. My bare feet ease the dirty floor. Lilies growing inside the room. Mother of nature is dying soon. She'll become the gasoline groom. Move on, move on.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ertico and the host committee, I do welcome you at this official opening of the ITS Europe Congress 2019. Thank you so very much for attending this official opening, because it is here and it is now that we will all together start a week full of sharing the latest and the most promising technical, scientific, societal, economical knowledge of intelligent transport systems. And of course, the latest when it comes to the development of European policies. And that's why it's so great to have you all together and that we are gathered here with such a great number of dedicated people. So thank you once more and have a warm welcome here today and for the days to come. And yes, we're going to start with this program, and I would like to ask you to start with a warm welcome for our Minister of Infrastructure and Water Management, Cora van Nieuwenhuizen. Thank you. Go ahead. Hello.
Dear guests, representatives of the automotive industry, manufacturers, and service providers in the ITS industry. Ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful performance we just saw. It was great to see how the dance performance and the spectacular lighting enhance each other. And that is very good, because today technology is part of the living, breathing world. We see it everywhere around us. It is a very special experience to be opening a Congress when we already shared so many inspiring, exciting and memorable moments. After yesterday's public day with all its activities, today is the first of 4 full days of the latest technology, showcases and pioneering developments in the area of mobility. And perhaps most important of all, the opportunity for all of us to gather to shape the future of the mobility in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Brainport region. Here we are in Eindhoven, a marvel of growth on itself, of technological growth with Philips, ASML, Eindhoven University of Technology, and the factories of DAF and VDL. With its population of 230,000, it is the 5th largest city in the Netherlands. And that is nothing of a short miracle, bearing in mind that only a century ago it was home to just 6,500 people. The explosive growth of cities, it's a very familiar phenomenon these days. Population growth and urbanization pose great challenges in terms of mobility. We want to keep our European cities and transport corridors accessible, maintain a healthy economy, and achieve ambitious climate goals. A great responsibility is on our shoulders. Fulfilling ITS Promises, that is the title of this Congress, and it's very aptly chosen. It marks the turning points we've reached. We've passed the stage of small-scale, promising pilots. A new age has dawned, on the road too. We're moving from testing to applying in practice, in the Netherlands and throughout Europe. A declaration was signed here today in which several member states and private parties commit to a single goal: data for road safety throughout Europe. 5 member states, 5 car manufacturers, 2 service providers, all joining forces to create a single system that will make driving safer. Public and private data is shared and combined to provide real-time information that will help drivers to drive safely on the road. I don't know if you saw the showcase this afternoon too, but personally I was very impressed. Rival companies increasingly recognize that they share certain interests, even in a free market. The key is then to work together, including government bodies, especially if it leads to safer roads. The Data Task Force pilot project is a good start. The essence of the system is, the more participants there are, the better the data is, and the better and more accurate the system is. And of course also, the greater its effects will be. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of square kilometers, the Netherlands isn't very big, but it's a densely populated and very busy country. That means we have to find new mobility solutions. And of course, you know the Dutch, we like to take a pragmatic approach. With a strong creative industry, we can quickly put new innovations into practice. Smart mobility, Dutch reality. That's how we call it. It's about looking at the mobility issue from a different angle. Not that of the road, but by asking, where do I want to go? And what mode of transport suits that best? At what particular moment? Mobility as a service. The Dutch program is the first to be implemented at a fully national scale, under joint conditions and agreements. Companies, both big and small, offer a wide variety of transport services and concepts. And the government makes sure there are data standards, as well as consumer protection and a transparent ecosystem of mobility solutions, so that a level playing field is created where innovative startups can introduce their new services. And here's some news you'll read about in tomorrow's newspapers, but you, of course, are the first one to hear it here today. That first standard, an API, is now applied in Belgium, Luxembourg, and North Rhine-Westphalia too. Mobility as a service is without a doubt an important concept for the future of transport. And here too, we find that the more participants there are, the better it works. It's the key to all the solutions for 21st century mobility. Connected transport corridors, talking traffic, advanced driver assistance systems. In a moment, you'll be shown a short film about these innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, this Congress focuses on an international ambition that we, in Europe, will shape together. The future begins today. The innovations we now have at our disposal, which we've tested and are presented to the public at large, are a paradigm shift in the world of mobility. They're used on an ever-increasing scale, and their value to society is growing bigger and bigger. I'm honored and proud that the Netherlands is hosting this exceptional Congress. I'd like to thank the organizers, Ertico, the Brainport region, and all the supporting partners for their excellent work in putting it all together. I hope the coming days prove inspiring and productive for all of you. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Netherlands. More than 17 million people work and live here on an area of only 41,000 square kilometers. In the Netherlands, smart mobility is not something of the future, but a necessity and reality. Day in, day out, thousands of systems are in place to manage traffic smoothly. In addition, the excellent communication infrastructure makes it possible for continuous data to be exchanged. Data from governments and companies in all sectors. Systems and services offer the optimum mix of means of transport in the current traffic situation in real time. Combined with crowdsourced reports, they even ensure that vehicles share information among themselves about sudden dangers, such as traffic jams and heavy rainfall. Systems and services also support autonomous vehicles that take care of the last mile. In a country that is considered gateway to Europe, connected traffic and transport is the solution to make goods flows run more safely and efficiently. On the 3 largest corridors in the Netherlands, about 95,000 journeys take place every day. With connected transport, huge savings can be achieved there. In order to monitor all these traffic flows and to be able to continuously inform road users about what happens next on their route, continuous exchange of accurate and reliable data plays a major role. Data as a 5th modality is indispensable to enable safer and more sustainable transport. Autonomous transport also plays a major role, and that role will only grow on all roads in and around the cities. Exchange of data supports the safe use of this. Rotterdam, the largest port in Europe, already has fully automated terminals. Thanks to autonomous transport, which will also take place on public roads in the coming years, the handling of containers is safe, sustainable, and above all, efficient. Efficiency that we also see on the water. And that is also highly necessary in a country with 2,000 movable bridges, 8,200 inland vessels, and 400,000 recreational vessels. Bridge management systems coordinate opening times with each other and share these with service providers and other road users. This saves a lot of time for shipping traffic and other traffic. Many of those goods have the busy inner cities as their final destination. To make the distribution process more efficient, distribution centers are in constant contact with stores in the city centers. By sharing real-time data, the store knows exactly what is being delivered at what time. Everything and everyone is seamlessly connected to each other to keep the number of traffic movements efficient, safe, and sustainable. When it comes to sustainability, there's one means of transport that really stands out, and there are plenty of those in the Netherlands. This requires smart solutions that ensure that the various modes of transport run smoothly together. Smart traffic lights play a crucial role in this. They communicate with each other and oncoming traffic. They can send and receive real-time data and are able to respond to actual changes in traffic. For example, they can give priority to public transport and large groups of cyclists, or just continue to display green for a slow individual pedestrian. The electric car also gets all the support. The use of these increases considerably. It's not without reason that the Netherlands has the largest network of charging points in Europe. This way, the Netherlands makes its infrastructure future-proof. Legislation and regulations have already been amended in the form of an experimentation law, which allows autonomous driving to be tested on public roads. Public and private parties work closely together in a typically Dutch, result-oriented approach. Governments, businesses, research institutes and road authorities constantly share knowledge and data. Of course, much attention is being paid to privacy and security. After all, like all traffic, data traffic must also run smoothly and safely. At large events, public and private traffic management information is collected in one overview. Various traffic flows are controlled centrally in order to manage the crowds quickly and safely. Insights that arise from this are shared with traffic centers to improve traffic management on a much larger scale. To make smart mobility a success, joining forces, local, national and international, public and private, is of the utmost importance. Only then can we realize scale and volume. Data production and the exchange thereof therefore doesn't stop at one's own border. After all, traffic doesn't either. We are working on standards for smart mobility that can be applied in the Netherlands and everywhere in Europe. Intelligent use of data and new services improves the quality of life, safety, sustainability and accessibility in a cost-efficient way. We can already see that in reality here, in the Netherlands. We are looking forward to working with you. Smart mobility, Dutch reality.
Wow, great. Smart mobility, Dutch reality. John Jorritsma, Mayor of the City of Eindhoven and Chair of the Brainport Eindhoven, please step forward and join me here on stage. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to see you. Now, Brainport Eindhoven, the minister already used, of course, the term Brainport Eindhoven already several times. For us in the Netherlands, it's like a household name, but maybe not for everybody here present. So, what is it, Brainport Eindhoven, Brainport Network?
Allow me first of all to welcome you all here in the Brainport region. Yes, I am the mayor, but also I'm the chair of the Brainport region. And in fact, the Brainport region is a triple helix organized economic board. One of the three pillars of the Dutch economy, Amsterdam with Schiphol as the main port, Rotterdam with the harbor, the seaport, and then here in the Eindhoven region, we are the Brainport.
Yeah, okay, so meaning leading in the field of high tech, but how come? What's its origin?
There are several things to mention, but let me say 125 years ago, the minister mentioned that Philips was founded here in this region, and they were dealing with the innovation of the light bulb at that time, but afterwards they produced the cassette deck, the CD, the MRI scan. And in the middle of 90s, Philips changed their philosophy from manufacturing-based to knowledge-based. At that time, 50,000 people lost their jobs here in this region, so it was a great mess. And at that time, we put ourselves on our hair out of the swarm, like the Baron of Munchausen, and we had focus together to deal with that problem. And focus was the way in the triple helix construction to build up a new economy.
To strongly collaborate and work together. Now, you are the mayor known for the sentence that you often say that in this region the future is invented. That's quite something.
It is, it is. I think we face all kind of societal challenges. We use high-tech for how to deal with social problems in the future, not as a design or shaping, but to use it in general life. I like to speak not about a smart city, but about a smart society.
Okay, but can you then give examples of what you are doing here in this region? In what fields?
We have focus on e-health, we have focus on energy transition, we have focus on mobility. And speaking about mobility, that's why we are here together.
Dedicated people.
The dedicated people, yes. I can mention one thing, I mentioned thousands of things, but to mention one thing, in the next coming weeks, we will present the new Lightyear car. The Lightyear car is a production from some students from the Technical University. They started 3 years ago with an initiative to make a complete solar-driven car, and they managed in it. And in the 25th of June, they will present the new, as I say, the new Volkswagen from the future, completely solar-driven, and that's amazing. It's never seen in the whole world.
Yes, and then because there are so many institutes as well, like the Technical University.
Yes, we are working strongly together. But I said the public partners on one hand, the entrepreneurs, the industry on the other hand, and the knowledge institutions. And the Technical University is for great importance for us. They are working at this very moment, I think, so 250 researchers. There are several teams of students who are dealing with all kinds of innovations around energy, mobility features. So it's amazing what a technical university, the knowledge institution can do together with the industry.
Yeah, and when talking about mobility, and in this specific area, like as we call it, the Brainport region, we have that very important automotive campus.
Absolutely.
As well, in Helmond.
I think, speaking about mobility, then the automotive camping is the place to be, with a lot of companies. What I said before, Lightyear is also established in Helmond, at the automotive campus, but a lot of other companies and industries are gathered there, like NXP. Without the chips of NXP, the world, on behalf of mobility, would be suffocating, Maurice. If we see how DAF, for instance, with a company like VDL, a family-owned business for 6 billion euros, 16,000 employees, how they gather and they produced the first electric-driven truck. It's amazing. And then, so the public partners, the industry, and the knowledge institutions, they are responsible for this environment here. We have, in 2018, we had in this region economical growth for 5%. And that's what I call that are Chinese figures, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, you can be very, very proud of that. And then it means that smart mobility, Dutch reality, is what is taking place on a daily basis here in this region.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, do you have one maybe final message or to address to this audience?
We are speaking about smart mobility. I think it's a mind mobility. We have to join forces. We have to experience. You have to find new partners, because our planet is worth it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to get rid of all boundaries first in our minds, and then
absolutely
we will find the solution so desperately needed.
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
Questions. Great, and it all will happen here in your beautiful city of Eindhoven. You must be
in the
proud.
Brainport.
In the Brainport area. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so very much,
you so
and
much.
enjoy this week. Wonderful. Great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we did talk, very briefly about the Eindhoven Technical University, and I'm so happy now that I am going to introduce to you the Director of Smart Mobility. He is a man who, well, I think, yes, we can envy him, because he is the man who's spending most of his time to smart mobility, but really with the new kids on the block. And that is so inspiring. So we are so happy that you are here with us. And we give you a warm welcome, Carlo van der Weijer. Great.
just to prove, am I here? Yeah, that was just to prove that working at the university is maybe the most dynamic job that you have nowadays, or working with a university, which is free to all of you. Yeah, that's where I spent half of my career with these students that just work in this future. And the future always was hard to predict, especially if you try to do it beforehand. But they are working on a future that's even going to change faster than it ever before. It's going to be harder to predict the future. That's something that we can say. It has to do a lot because technology is changing exponentially, and that sounds like a cliche, but that's true. Most of you probably know this because it has to do with the Moore's law. You know, the fact that a computer power doubles every second year, every one and a half year. And yeah, that's an exponential growth. And we are linear thinking human beings. We always have some trouble in order to just get that idea there. So, by the way, actually this exponential growth, this Moore's law, is established by technology that's built here in the region already for some decades with ASML here. So everything that happens in Silicon Valley wouldn't happen without them. So a little bit proud we can be there. But this is the thing. Student teams know that this change is coming, and they're very much better to cope with this for some reason that the big corporates can for some reason. So I'm learning more from the student teams as they learn from us at the university, I guess. And student teams, as you can see them here, is one of my responsibilities over there. And you might have me hearing this saying before, but the thing is that they're so good. It's just the sheer talent that they can come up with the most stupid ideas. That's really why it's such a joy to work with them. And actually, we cherish this because we know that the breakthrough of tomorrow is hidden in the stupid idea of yesterday. And actually, I work in Silicon Valley a lot, and there's almost a religious belief that's the other way around, that every stupid idea will be a breakthrough, and that's not true. 95% of stupid ideas are indeed very stupid ideas. How to find this one thing amongst them? And that's the thing what we are talking about. And also what happens now with this fast-changing technology, this stupid idea that's coming and to disrupt your business, which is the one? You cannot choose out of these 100% stupid ideas, there's just 5 ones. Now, even if this indeed is a stupid idea, we just let these students, because searching for this stupid idea, they will find another idea probably that they otherwise would have never found. So we're really let them do. But also in this next 4 days, what are these big ideas that's going to disrupt the business and to change the thing for the good? We all talk about autonomous vehicles. But yes, that will happen to a certain extent. But will it lead to driverless vehicles? Do we have driverless cars in the future? And do the cities need driverless cars, or do we need carless drivers, bikes, and all kinds of new public transport? And that's what we are here about. The other thing, drones, probably. You heard that sounds like a stupid idea, because a guy in my village has a drone that makes a lot of noise. What if we're going to transport people? Is that not going to make a lot of noise? But yeah, okay, I would like to have such a thing, but I do not want my neighbor to have one, because I have to fix my roof every time he leaves for work. So that's not an idea. But here I'm again, as a wise old man, as the old kid on the block, actually already in some kind of modus that I'm a little bit skeptical. So it's about time to invite some new kids on the block. So it's these student teams that after they've fixed and they won their games and everything that happens, most of them start a new company. And we invited 2 of these examples because this was University of Eindhoven, but this really happens on any university. Look what happens in Delft, Twente, around the corner. So we invited 2 actually entrepreneurs, used to be students not too long ago, that started a company from them. So 2 startups that are here to pitch, and I'll have a little discussion with them in order to, for you to learn even more how they work, because there's a lot of lessons hidden in that one. So, Tessie Hartje from Lightyear, please come to stage. And we also have Fabian Kober from Ducktrain. Hi. So, Fabian, we give them the floor for 2 minutes. They will pitch their idea. It's very interesting stuff, and try to learn as much from them. Fabian, we begin with you. You're just around the corner, Aachen. A lot of Dutch students are there as well, but welcome. You have this Ducktrain. Please highlight what this is about.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carlo. It's great to be here at ITS, and I'm really happy to have the possibility to introduce your Ducktrain now. And this, what you can see here, is Ducktrain. Ducktrain consists of a leading object and trailers, electric vehicles that we call ducks. A DAC is a automated electric logistics vehicle, a light electric logistics vehicle that is equipped with sensor technology and with a known battery pack and our Follow Me software that enables the vehicle to follow a leading object. In this case, for example, the bicycle, but also another duck like the second one in this case. And you can imagine, you can couple those ducks with any leading object. You can couple them with bicycles, you can couple them with pedestrians, but also with scooters, cargo bikes, whatever you want. There are no limits. And what we're going to do with DuckTrain is we want to change future mobility in our city centers, but also on our plants in our factories. DuckTrain has a payload of 300 kilogram, can transport 2 meters in cubic, and you can chain multiple of our ducks together to have a whole duck train in order to meet exactly the payload and the loading volume that you need for your specific use case. So DuckTrain, in the end, it comes down to combining the advantages of small vehicles with a higher loading volume. And the lack of the physical connection enables us to take even sharp corners in urban environments because our DuckTrain does not cut in the corner.
So, exactly 2 minutes, go. So this first pitch, we'll have some questions afterwards. The next pitch already started actually with the mayor of Eindhoven pitching for an Helmond company. That's a nice thing to see already. So you already mentioned Lightyear, but Tessie, you have some extra information probably.
Thank you. So at Lightyear, we believe in a future where everybody uses clean and affordable mobility. Lightyear indeed started with the Solar Team Eindhoven as a student team that competed in a World Solar Challenge and built a four-person solar vehicle. And at that time, in 2013, that was actually the first time something like that had been done. And they managed to win the World Solar Challenge 3 times in a row, proving that it's not beginner's luck. And actually what happened then is that all these students waited. They started waiting for you guys to pick up this development and take it to the next level. And although a lot has happened in the automotive industry in the recent years, and a lot is still going on, no OEM is currently building a solar vehicle. So we decided that we had to do it ourselves. But that's not a light choice to make. So why do it? Because we need to change faster. With the current rate of electric vehicle adoption, we will not have diminished our CO2 emissions in the next 20 years. And that is actually because the prosperity levels worldwide are rising. So there will be a group of 2 to 3 billion people in the next decades that will start driving electric vehicles. And electric vehicles have a charging and thus a scaling problem because they consume so much energy that we need special charging infrastructure in order to provide the energy we need in one night of sleep so it suits our daily life. That is why we are now building a solar car for the market that is able to use the infrastructure that is already out there. We effectively turn every normal charging power plug into a charging station. And by using the sun and any power outlet that is already out there, we can provide 80% of the world with clean and affordable mobility. Thank you.
Okay, maybe to start with this one, because this was an idea that came to me 6-7 years ago, and they say we're going to put solar cells on a roof of a car and drive with it. And I, with all my wisdom, could very easily calculate that's not going to work. If you put solar cells on the roof of a car, that's just enough to maybe fuel the left headlight and the horn. Unless you drive in India, you need an extra generator for the horn, etc. So this is not going to work.
Stupid idea.
But we always challenge these people to prove us wrong. Can you maybe summarize how you prove me wrong on this point?
I think the biggest answer to this question is it's not about the solar cells. So it's about making the car very energy efficient, so reducing the energy consumption. And we have an advantage because we don't have any legacy. So we can optimize the solar cell surface area. We can put more solar cells on our cars, and we have very efficient solar cells. They are much more efficient than years ago.
Yeah,
so
the ones, yeah.
So I think the biggest trick is in making the car efficient and reducing the consumption.
Okay, that's good. So another question that you might have, can I already buy this or order this just as an extra advert? Yes, you can. I ordered one, actually.
Yes.
Number 101.
Yes, he's
actually.
number one.
So they're well approaching. So this is possible. If you have the budget of this one, just do this. This is a new one. Anyone, yeah. And I'm not getting mine for free, by the way. Okay, maybe this duck train. I can admit this is mother duckling with a lot of baby ducks behind it, and actually the baby ducks are bigger because it's one biker with kind of a big payload. This can be a long string, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
What if halfway the strings the traffic light runs on red? What's happening then?
Well, it's like if you have a train or a trailer with a physical connection, it's just following the leading object. So, like you would think that it would react. So there's no stopping at the red light or whatever, because the vehicle does not know that the light is red. So the responsibility for the whole train, for the whole duck train, is on the leading object. So if the driver decides to go left or right, or to accelerate or to slow down, the ducks won't do the same. Will do the same.
Will do the same.
So, yeah,
okay.
they won't do anything different.
Okay, so it's the responsibility of the biker,
Yeah,
and it's
there's
just
no
one vehicle.
There's no decision model that we need, and this makes the technology so much more easy. It's more applicable than autonomous driving, because you don't need this decision-making model. You don't need to decide whether to drive right or left.
Because it's a responsibility of the driver, and you make the technology so good that all 6 baby ducklings will follow.
Exactly.
It's not that one goes right and the rest goes left. Okay, that's cool technology. Maybe on this, the solar cells. What do you see as a next step now? Because yes, it's about there. You can order it.
So one was already mentioned. We are now working towards presenting the first driving prototype of the car we are building, which is the sort of the international launch. And the next step after that is actually to get the car ready for production and deliver it to our
Yes, please do so. That's why I was so curious. Yeah, and it drives during the winter. That's probably the question you get most, and maybe pops up in the heads at this moment. You can drive it in the winter as well.
Well, in the winter and in the dark, yes. So if there's no sun or relatively low amounts of solar energy, then it's just a normal electric vehicle, but very efficient. So we have a battery in the car, which will give you 600 to 800 kilometers of range without any sunshine.
Okay. Question to you. You're here now at this conference with all these people having a lot of knowledge. What do you expect from these people as input? How can they help you?
I think they can help us by challenging us, by cooperating with us, by getting into contact. So that's why I'm here. I think we already have a good ecosystem. We have the university in Aachen. We have the digital hub in Aachen, in Hamburg, which are doing very good work. But I think in order to push the technology, you have to connect with all of these stakeholders, with technology experts, with the industry, and you have to challenge your product, because only if you challenge your product can have a market-ready and a good product that fits to the customer needs and has a good user proposition.
Okay, so find these people find these persons, because they have so many ideas. They will be around also for the next days. My final question before we leave stage, just in one sentence, you see all these old farts, and I account myself as well. All these companies that do things that you wonder from why do you do such? When can you share something? Can you give them one lessons to look a little bit more like a young startup than their companies at this moment?
Yeah, I think it was already mentioned a little bit, but it's at Lightyear we're not looking to create and control a list of suppliers, but we're looking to create a network of partners. So then you have an ecosystem proposition, and that's something you strive for with all your partners, instead of just one company getting all the resources you need. So.
Okay, that's right. And what would your tip be?
Yeah, I think it's much about focusing on your goals. That means on your return on engineering and not on the engineering on itself, on its purpose. Because only if you focus on the return on engineering, that means early prototyping with, for example, 80% prototype in order to learn from your prototype, then you're gonna have a development process which is way more efficient, cheaper, and quicker in the end.
But I think that's a nice end to start with a German that says that engineering is not there for engineering, but for the return on engineering. So find these people. There are much more student teams here around them. You can learn as much from them as they can learn from you, and that's where really we can have this stupid idea making a breakthrough. So thanks for that. Thanks for these three people. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Carlo, Fabian, and Tessie. I cannot imagine that there's somebody in this room who would not be connected with or Tessie or Fabian. And that's why some people did register, and you did a right thing, because we will make that so-called mobility match later on between people here in the room, and that will be fun, because innovation might start there. And if we can be part of the ecosystems Tessie is proposing, then future will be great. So thank you very, very much for your contribution to this opening ceremony. And now let's just have a short look of what's going to happen the following days. See this.
The National Host Committee welcomes you to the ITS European Congress Brainport Eindhoven, where we joined forces in showing our progress in the deployment of smart mobility, both in the Netherlands as a whole and in the Brainport region, as one of Europe's most prominent and innovative high-tech centers, fulfilling ITS promises. That's what we do. With millions of bikes, cars, trucks and trains on only 41,000 square kilometers, the Dutch are smart mobility. We will show you what we actually do, fulfilling ITS promises, with concrete implementations of smart and integrated mobility in and on our roads today. Experience the innovations and advances in the Netherlands and join the experts on a guided tour to various destinations in our country. Innovative solutions will be showcased in and between the Evoluon and Automotive Campus, a living lab for smart mobility solutions. Your experience starts when you step into the shuttle bus. By using Dinnick's GreenFlow app, you will get to your destination faster. At the Automotive Campus in Helmond, you'll get the chance to experience exciting current and future mobility options and learn more about pioneering ventures. From vehicles with various driver assistance systems to semi-automated and fully automated driving. Systems that connect roadside equipment to vehicles. Demonstration rides can be booked on the ITS Congress app. Our Mobi Festival, a sneak preview of our demos for the general public, was a big success. The Mayor of Helmond.
A lot is happening on smart mobility. The sector is developing at lightning speed. We think it is important to bring these developments close to the end users, to let them experience what is possible now and in the future. And that's why we have organized the Mobi Festival for our citizens.
We look into the future and anticipate what we see. That's why we dedicated part of the program to new, promising ideas and impactful, innovative technologies that make life and mobility more enjoyable, safer and cleaner. We proudly present the special area dedicated for startups to pitch their ideas and business models to you during the networking breaks. You can visit our Dutch street in the Evoluon. And for the first time ever, we organized the Your Future Festival at Campus Eindhoven University of Technology, where its main sponsor here organizes a hackathon stage. Get connected and register for the festival, fulfilling ITS promises. The Dutch Ministry hosts a high-level public-private roundtable. This year's Congress also hosts a Mayor and Industry Leaders Summit on Wednesday, the 5th of June. And on Wednesday night, it's dinner time. Are you in for a night full of culinary surprises and live music while enjoying the company of ITS colleagues from around Europe? Then join us for the new and vibrant ITS dinner at the Museum of former car and truck manufacturer DAF. We'd love to have you as our guest. Find all your information through the Congress app. Please visit our information desk at the main entrance of Evoluon if you need any information on the cities of Eindhoven and Helmond. Don't forget to register for the social events, the demos or the implementation visits. the National Host Committee, all partners, sponsors and exhibitors wish you a Congress that fulfills ITS promises. For you.
Well, great. I hope that this is what you expected from this Congress. And now I would like to give some more words to how to fulfill ITS promises, because that's what we have heard several times already now. And therefore, I would like to invite here on stage to start with Nico Ante. Nico Ante, please step forward, chairman from Connect, the independent network for smart, sustainable and social mobility. That is exactly the way it is, isn't it, Nico? Great to have you here. Kees de Wijs. Yes, Kees, please step forward. CEO from DINIC. Well, and it's DINIC who helps to manage the energy and mobility flows through technical solutions. That's what you do, because you would really want to enable people, goods, and data to reach their destination, but in a safe and sustainable way, of course, nothing less than that. And then Jacob Baansgaard, CEO from Ertico. Oh, we must go back in time a little bit. I think back to 91, the year that Ertico was founded, at an initiative. Please step forward. Jacob, so good to have you. It was an initiative from the European Commission by then, together with the industry leaders, the public authorities, because there was that gap to be filled between research and deployment of mobility services on roads. Now, the gap, is it smaller? Is it bigger? What's some news about the gap?
First of all, great to see you all. Thank you very much for coming to the Brainport region for this. When we started working on, in 91, working on bringing the whole ecosystem together and to bring all the stakeholders that are needed to develop the smart mobility solutions, then we have been moving from starting with 16 partners to today 120 partners, where many are here today, DINIC being one of them. Yeah. And we work also with the ITS national organization, where Connect is one of them, to get out to throughout Europe to develop the innovation. So what we are seeing now is that we need to work closer with the research side, but also the startup activities. And there I saw Karima Deli is here, and we are working closely with her activity in the European Parliament, and we are launching tomorrow the Ertico Startup Hub. And
so yes, we are filling the gap.
We are
more and more partners.
We are constantly developing it, because we keep on seeing new technologies coming in, and we need to embrace innovation. We need to work with this. We need to do this in the partnership of Ertico, and we need to develop. We need to change with the society changing around us.
Great, Nico, Ante, I give you the microphone. Fulfilling ITS promises. That means collaborating, because nobody can do it on its own. But what does it truly mean in the day-to-day practice? Collaboration between who and how?
Well, first of all, a lot of experience. For more than 700 years, we collaborate in the Netherlands to keep the sea out of the country. Yeah. So if you can keep the sea out, you can sure also deal with mobility. Yeah. And if you look in smart mobility, you see first of all the collaboration between the central government and the regional governments. Mm-hmm. You see how the industry is collaborating on a pre-competitive basis to create markets for services and products to help cities. Yeah. Very interested, and that is really where public-private collaboration is coming to the rescue, where you really need each other. Yeah. And the recipe is not very difficult. You have to find a common goal, the goal on how to make the city sustainable, smart, and also social inclusive. Yeah. And if you collaborate in this way, you will see that a city will create jobs. Jobs create innovation. Innovation can help cities. You see a lot of examples here
That's
about
the
jobs.
Order.
That's the order. Now it is a circle, or you can call it even in helix, and lifting it up. Yeah. So find the common goal, and
find
then
the common ground, the common goal, and from there you proceed.
And just do it.
Great, Kees de Wijs. Yes, fulfilling ITS promises also means doing business, because it is at the end also just doing business.
It's about bringing vision into commercial reality. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, it is fascinating to see what has happened over the last decades. Because when I remember about my first World Congress, it was in 1995, I believe, in Berlin. It was about central traffic management systems. It was about improvement of vehicle detection and motorway management systems. It was at that time already about eCall, so having an automatic signal from the car in case of an accident. And it's fascinating to see how much improvements and progress we have made over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
What we see, though, at the same time, that our society has become more demanding. So we are moving forward all together in a more rapid pace. And our society, we as consumers, as people who travel, as citizens, we demand more from life and also more from information services. Yeah. I was at a great stadium concert yesterday of Marco Borsato, some of those who are Dutch.
Oh, very famous Dutch singer, for those who don't know.
When we had to leave the stadium, my children, we have 3, 19, 16 and 14, they took their phone and they just watched where to go, which station, platform, and what time the train would arrive. That's ITS. For them it's natural. It wasn't there when I had their age. So I'm very positive about how we pick up technology, but also how we translate it into new commercial services.
Then this experience you share with us from last night, is that then a moment that you feel to be proud? That you say we are getting there because we have a new generation who...
I'm proud because, and I encourage myself to keep in listening mode. So I listen to all the stupid questions that my children every time bring up, which aren't stupid questions at all. About
sometimes.
About okay, why are you doing this, Dad, and why is it going so slowly? Yeah. So I try to learn from that, and I was encouraged by the young people here now sitting behind their phones and doing other stuff because that's also modern society.
They are sharing. They are sharing with the world what you are saying.
Exactly, and no, but I'm encouraged to listen to these people because when we were in Turin in 1999, we were launching floating car data. So we were telling the world, hey, listen, you can tap into your telecommunication network, look at that data, transplant it on your digital maps, and from that you can predict travel time. We were declared lunatic.
Yeah.
So like these youngsters are declared perhaps lunatic. Yeah. Don't settle in, stay focused on what you try to achieve, because we got floating car data live. It's a very commercial service. I made a mistake at that time. We sold it to TomTom. That's a different story.
That's a different story. Yeah, that we will have some room maybe later on this week. Yes, Jacob Bangsaert, if we see now the emergence of new technologies, but also those very fast-paced innovations into the marketplace we are here describing, it has created exciting but also a very challenging environment. And we have, as we just learned, we have to keep up with this speed. Now, how do we do this? Are we able?
Of course we're able. But there's also a huge demand from the consumer side, because they have seen a lot of developments happening in other consumer goods. So in the mobility sector, they are looking at us and saying, where are the intelligence that you should be bringing into our daily life when it comes to mobility? So what we are doing, again with the Ertico partnership, is that we are looking at where can we find innovation that can create the smart mobility solutions for the future. And there, again, it is very much the startup community where we can learn a lot about the innovation happening there, where they can learn a lot from our experiences. And then it's also working with our partners. On Wednesday, we are launching our new Ertico Academy. And there we are bringing the expertise from the Ertico partnership and from the brilliant team that we have in Brussels with experts out to the different countries in Europe and working with the public authorities on looking at what are your challenges, how can we find the solutions together. Instead of fighting the new transport solutions coming to market, we need to embrace it and making it part of our integrated transport solutions.
Stop fighting.
Stop fighting and find solutions instead.
That's always a very good idea, yeah. Great. Well, but then things do change. Now, within Ertico, do things change also once in a while?
Yeah, they do. They do, and especially our branding that you will see hopefully everywhere for this week. Our communication teams has some very exciting news for you there, and I would like you to see the new Ertico branding, if we can show it up here.
Okay. So, a new corporate identity here. Great.
Brilliant work.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I do wish you a wonderful week with a lot of inspiration, a lot of new ecosystem partners joining you. So thank you very much. And I'll let you know already by now that you will be matched to one of the young entrepreneurs. So that will be exciting as well. Thank you so very much for being with me on stage. Thank you. Yes, Nico Arntzen, Kees de Wijs en Jacob Bangsgaard. Well, great, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, you all know because we have had the joy to see quite some of him lately, and he has very busy but also exciting times. And so we could have understood that he wouldn't have been here today. But he really insisted in being with us today, and for one very specific reason, because one of the key themes now also on the European agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is of course that sustainable, intelligent mobility. And that's why he really wanted to meet you, to be here, to see the latest, to hear the latest. And that's why I'm so very, very delighted and happy to be able to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the first Vice President of the European Commission, Mr. Frans Timmermans. Please step forward. Stage is yours.
Good afternoon, and it's been a pleasure to listen to all of you and to listen to all these innovative ideas. I thought I'd just share a few ideas with you after having listened to everyone. First of all, my first piece of advice would be to those who made the film, the Dutch authorities, about what's going on in the Netherlands. And if you really want to put a football stadium in that film, and you want to show the film in Eindhoven, for heaven's sake, don't put the Ajax stadium in there. With all due respect to Ajax, by the way. Secondly, a lot was said about Brainport. There's a few things I'd like to add as a former advisor to Brainport and having seen the development of Brainport, and I want to mention two elements of its success that haven't been mentioned yet. The first is the fundamental change of position of Philips and a number of other companies who had, you know, if you came here in the 80s and early 90s, it was like, and you wanted to see Philips, it was like visiting Fort Knox. You hardly could get in. It would take hours. You would be sworn to secrecy for everything you would see. And at the same time, everything that was invented here by Philips was marketed in Japan by another company anyway. So Philips rethought that and thought, we want to be open. We want to share. We want to see if we can invite other companies in, just to share the information, just to see if we can create networks of added value from all different sides. And of course, we want to specialize in the things we're really good at and let go some parts of our company that have made us too big and too difficult to control and let them do their own thing in their own way. That's how you have these hugely successful companies like ASML and NXP and all the others. I think I remember very well how difficult it was to imagine that you could survive as a company if you would be that open about what you're developing. And it turned out to be one of the success factors of Brainport. Or it attracted people from all over the world who wanted to be part of what has become a very, very exciting development. And the one thing that it brought to this region, this wider region, is that this has become a truly multinational region. People from all over the world come and work here and live here and share ideas, and it has led to much more understanding also in the community and much more optimism as well in the community. And I think this optimism is something this region could share with other regions in the Netherlands and certainly with other regions in Europe. The second factor that wasn't mentioned when the triple helix was mentioned, that I want to mention, because until now, we've been talking a lot about the highest level of education. But one of the critical success factors in the triple helix in this region is especially the integration of mid-level education systems into the whole system. So not just the university level education, but the mid-level education of people who actually do the work in industry, who would be trained to understand the changes in industry, et cetera, et cetera. So what was done here is not just create a triple helix, create a success around a number of companies. What was done here, in fact, was reinvent industrial policy on the eve of the fourth industrial revolution. And I think that's the reason why this region is so successful in Europe and is a region that is an example to the rest of Europe. Sometimes we have to explain it to the people in the region because they're too modest to understand this, but I want to emphasize this today, also with the presence of the mayors of Eindhoven and Helmond, that this is a region that does set the tone for the rest of Europe in many areas, and you should be proud of that, honestly. Now, what does this mean in the years to come? How do we react? How do we learn from these successes? And how do we apply them also to smart mobility, etc.? Let me take you a few steps back. For my dad and his generation, you were successful. You know, we're working class background. You were successful in your life when at some point you could own your own car. You know, that was the measure of success, your own car. You didn't need to drive it too much because that was too expensive, but you had the car and it was sitting there in front of your house doing nothing most of the time, but that was a symbol of your acquired status of a successful working class person. Now, one generation later, for us, owning a car is almost natural, but not much has changed, in fact. Our car also sits in front of the house doing nothing most of the time, but well, you need a car. If I look at my own kids, they don't think in terms of I want a car. They want mobility. They want to go from A to B whenever they like. And I don't think this mental revolution that's going on in our society has sunk in the automotive industry yet. And I think if there's one industry in Europe that's going to experience a fundamental transformation over the next 10 to 20 years, it's the automotive industry. And it's so important because much of Europe's economy hinges on the automotive industry and everything that is linked with the automotive industry. So I think one of the most far-reaching developments in the fourth industrial revolution in Europe will be how we are able to transform this automotive industry to offer the mobility of the future that is happening already today. And this is not just the logistics in the economy. I would start from the individual. Make it understandable to citizens. If you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you need the support of citizens. And citizens need to understand what it means for them concretely, personally, in their own mobility, in the way they act, in the way they shop, in the way they live. And I think that what I've heard today, this element perhaps is a little underestimated in the discussion so far. I can understand it from your perspective, but I'm giving you my perspective as a politician. I think, in my experience, if you get people to see that this is in their interest, then they will join this. Because everybody understands that sustainability is a necessity. Everybody understands that we can't go on living like this. But also many people believe that what we're proposing, those of us who believe in a more sustainable world, who believe in policies to bring about the most sustainable world, that we're going to ask people to go back and live in cages and munch on grass. And that's when people resist this development, or when they say, this is for the people who can afford a Tesla, not for me. And then you get a resistance against a development that is absolutely necessary in our society and our economy. So I think we all share in this room a responsibility to demonstrate with facts that this is actually in the interest of individual citizens, even if they don't have the purchasing power most people in this room would have. We need society to understand and embrace the idea of transforming our society into a sustainable society. Otherwise, we will mobilize the resistance against this, and then Europe will lose out because other parts of the world will embrace this concept much earlier. So this is one of the calls I give to you today. Keep this in mind, whatever you develop, that you need to convince individual citizens that this is good for them. Now, the next remark I would like to make is about the nature of this transformation and how we bring it about. Now, the good news is that no place in the world is better placed to be successful in this transformation than Europe. We have the best spread knowledge, we have the best infrastructure, we have the best adaptability of the world. We've proven that in the past. But we also have a risk of complacency or the other side of the coin of fear of change that would resist the change. So we need to have a number of critical successes in the next couple of years to demonstrate that we can actually do this. To me, again, something that wasn't mentioned before, the introduction of 5G in major urban areas in Europe is a critical factor to make this happen more quickly, without glitches, without accidents. And so I would be a strong advocate of quickly introducing 5G in, why not this area? I think this area is perfectly suited for it, and in other urban areas in Europe to create the success. Secondly, I also believe that the nature of the mobility linked to the energy necessities that were mentioned before means that we need to organize energy grids at the European level to transport sustainable energy and get them to the end consumers. And this includes, of course, solar power, wind energy, but also using solar power, excess solar power, wind energy to create hydrogen. Hydrogen can then also be a sustainable energy source in different areas. And then we have the infrastructure with the gas pipelines to use hydrogen through the traditional Dutch gas pipelines, also to bring them to the end consumers. I mean, these are things that are totally connected to the issue of smart mobility in the future. Now, then the question becomes, and perhaps this is something I would like you to think about and reflect on for the next couple of days or weeks. How do we organize all this? I think we need to question some of our assumptions. First assumption was, in the modern world, we don't need industry policy. I'm afraid we need industry policy. Eindhoven, Helmond demonstrate that the successful industry policy has a future. But we need it on a scale that goes beyond regions, goes beyond member states, is a European scale. So we need to put the European Union in the position to create sustainable energy policies for the future. This is extremely urgent. This is not about protectionism. It's about safeguarding our values and making sure that places like China are very good trading partners, but are not the ones who are going to take away all our knowledge and then market it and sell it back to us. So neither being naive about this nor obsessive about this. Secondly, I think we need a policy that protects international trade, fair trade. I think this is under fire from the American president, from others. We need to stand firm as Europeans to protect international fair trade. It is important to make this transition to a sustainable economy. Thirdly, we need to be clear to our citizens that this transformation is a very, very difficult thing to do, but we need to do it. And we can only get our citizens to tag along if we put social sustainability in front of all the rest, by which I mean if we make sure that people have jobs in this new economy. And these will not be the same jobs they have today, but they can be better jobs. They can be trained for that. We need to adapt our educational systems to permanent training, etc., etc. I was inspired when I was in Sweden in the electoral campaign talking to trade unions when they said to me, we no longer say to our people, if we know their jobs are going to be lost in 5 years' time, we will fight for your job as long as we can. We now say to the people, it's a reality, your job will not be there in 5 years' time, but now we have 5 years to prepare you for a new job, and we will do that with you. I think this is the mindset we will need everywhere, and I think this is also the mindset you all need, because the critical factor of success, and let me end on this, will be your human capital. And human capital will become more scarce, but human capital will be essential if we are to be successful as Europeans in this fourth industrial revolution. So the only message I have for you today, don't forget about the people. Thank you very much.
A very, very clear call for action. Do not forget the individual citizen. And make sure that you convince the added value for their lives of all the solutions you are able to come up with. Thank you so very much for your contribution. And, Mr. Timmermans, I have a surprise for you, because you will be matched like a mobility matchmaking, that's what we are doing, with one of the young entrepreneurs. So we are going to look now to whom? Because that will be, I think they will ask maybe some time of you in Brussels, I don't know, but we'll see with whom, okay? So let us first see the seniors, the so-called seniors, by words of Carlo, the old kids on the block, excuse me. Yeah, okay, there, we see Ellie Blanksma, yeah, we saw her on the movie, hello there, Mayor of Helmond. And we see Marc Fréquin, we haven't met on stage yet. Angelos, we will see later, the Director General of the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management. Okay, now there are some key words maybe linked to these highly respected people. Yes, you see those words now. See, we have those young influencers, and with the Busmaster mobility matching app, we did match people. So let's see what happened. And maybe you can watch your own smartphone as well to see to whom you are matched, if you did register. Let's see what happened. Because I'm so curious for Mr. Tim. Oh, lucky you, with Tessie. Great. It is you with Tessie. Well, she's there. Take the opportunity later on to set up a meeting. But look at this with Iris and Chris. They're all here, and you will all be joining together to the Ertico stand later on after this ceremony has ended. So I'm sure that innovation will start here. That's for sure. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, and we saw Angelos Amditis. Before we will have the official opening, within a couple of minutes from now, I would like to give you the full floor to say some words to address today's high delegation here from your conference. Go ahead. Yes. Chairman of Ertico, Angelos Amditis.
So what can I say? After those inspiring speeches and everything we heard, I mean, everything I can say now is maybe heard too small, but maybe I can add on what I heard already. So, dear Minister, dear first Vice President of the Commission, I was really happy to hear what you said just now. Dear mayors and dear fellow ITS colleagues and friends, on behalf of Ertico, ITS Europe, and all our partners, I am proud to welcome you here to this 13th ITS European Congress and formally open the exhibition where we will be able to see some of these innovations we discussed today and we've seen, and some of the things that will make us understand that things are really coming now. A huge thank you needs to go also to our hosts from the Brainport region for this amazing, inspiring, and different opening ceremony. I think you will agree that this was really something extraordinary, I mean, related to what this region is about, Brainport. So I'm really amazed to see that all our cities in the past and today, all our host cities, are really managing to surprise us with new, innovative, interesting, and greater opening ceremonies. And I think that will be a great challenge for the future cities to come to really manage to balance what we have seen today. I don't think there was any need for me especially to see all the videos or to hear everything you said, to really say that the Brainport region, Helmond, Eindhoven, these are really the technology backbone of Europe. This is really the place where we have seen so many things happening, and happening is the magic word. Not just planning, not just discussing, not just researching, but really see them in reality, see them happening. So I love the name, Brainport. Congratulations to those that thought about it. I love the way that you made a big problem in the past a big success. I like the example you give to the world. So congratulations for that. So, dear colleagues, development in technology, regulatory framework, and in business lay the road for a new mobility era for the transport of goods and people. This new era is upon us today, not tomorrow. It's something that we have and we see here. And I think all of us in this room are lucky enough to contribute to this new era and also leave the amazing changes that smart mobility concepts bring to our society. And this Congress here is the place and time where different sides of the industry, experts, policymakers can come together in the spirit of collaboration, learn from each other, and work towards the implementation of smart mobility. And collaboration is in the heart and mind of Vertico. This is what we do, this is how we work, we collaborate. And I think this is what we really need to do today. And I would like to come back also to what Mr. Timmermans said before. Yes, we need to bring humans inside this whole discussion. And that is why also Vertico is looking on the opportunities of public awareness campaigns. We are discussing that with the European Parliament, hopefully also with the Commission, and try to see how we can really bring all these amazing new concepts, these amazing new ideas to the public, because without that, really nothing will happen. So let's take advantage of this Congress, this amazing place here, all the demonstrations, or the exhibition, in order to learn more, to discuss, and to understand how we can cooperate for the benefit of all of us. Over the next 4 days, the exhibition that our good colleagues, partners, and friends in the area of smart mobility will offer you a glimpse of the latest innovations offered in our sector, and will also allow us to leave demonstrations at the Helmut Automotive Center. Enjoy all that the ITS Congress has to offer you. And please remember that what we said about smart mobility is just one of the pillars of what we call smart city, or what my good friend Mayor said, smart society, because this is the reality. This is what we have to have. We have to have the big picture in our minds. So all starts are offering an interesting insight in different aspects of mobility. But since I would like also to keep my position as chairman of Vertico, I would like also to invite you to our stand, where you have the opportunity to see all the nice things that Vertico is doing. Our staff will be happy to go through you with all the different initiatives, platforms, and new things that we do in order to make smart mobility a reality. So thank you very much. I wish all of you an inspiring week, and let's open this exhibition. Thank you.
Let's open this exhibition, then stay with me, because
Of
a colleague
course.
will bring, yes, look at this, the
Oh.
big red button. Yes,
Yeah.
it is wireless. Instead you
Yes.
ask, like, what is this? Yeah, it is. But
So-
we need some more people,
Of
of
course.
course. So I would like kindly ask Mr. Frans Timmermans back on stage, like the Mayor John Jorritsma, like Jacob Bangsgaard, Nico Ante and Kees Wijs, but of course, mevrouw Ellie Blanksma, Mayor of the City of Helmond, and Mark
Really
Fricke,
appreciate what
the
you said.
Director General from the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management of the Netherlands. Well, Ms. Blanksma, maybe you can be put in the middle. Yes,
Yes,
of
please.
course. Yeah, very good, very good. These are details.
Oops, sorry.
That's
Thank you.
it's a women thing. Yeah,
Details are
that's
everything.
great. Yeah. So what I now do suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that first of all, that you will all have your hands here. That's why we have a big button, because you're so many. Yes, all of
Yes,
you.
all together.
And then,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
don't do anything yet. Well,
No,
stop.
not yet. Wait,
Oh.
wait.
Okay, because when pushing the button, then the doors will open to the exhibition. But I do suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that we all count back from 3 to 0. And once done, then all doors will be opened here at the Evoluon. And then we will start being inspired at this ITS Congress 2019. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Then count back with me. 3, 2, 1, 0, and go. Are the doors open? Yes, they are. Have a good congress. Thank you very much.